99.3 Nigeria Info. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Utomi and Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. This is the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome to Balogun and Broad. And I did promise you earlier on that we would be joined by Professor Pat Utomi. Yes, a lot has been happening to the Nigerian economy, obviously. And for once, we know, everybody now knows, it's no longer a secret that Nigeria's economy's mainstay is our oil and gas sector. But a lot of uncertainties surround that particular sector. Most importantly, the recent situation where 20% of the shares that Nigeria's NNPC put into the Dangote refinery has reduced to 7.2%. This morning, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, NASIMA, and several other bodies have blamed Mr. President's economic policies, for the death of several businesses and many others that are being crippled as we speak. Well, the good professor is going to help us to make sense of all that's happening in the country and if there be any way out of this. Professor Utomi, it's so good to have you join us. I know that I was constantly badgering you with my messages to get you to come on the show, but I'm so glad that you came and you had to miss something very big. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad I could join.
Yes, great. I just gave a background as to what Nigerians are facing. Most importantly, IMF, as at today, have reduced the expectation in terms of our economic growth to 3.1%, if I'm not mistaken. And this means that it looks like our economy generally has come to a standstill. Why do you think we've found ourselves in this situation over time?
Oh, wow. We have had this coming for a long time, but we have unfortunately created a culture, a political culture that is not given to deep reflection. And so it was inevitable that this day come. However, it just didn't happen. It was building up. If you go back and read just about everything I have said in the last 20, 30 years, it was leading up to this, and I kept saying it was coming. And let me tell you, I just finished teaching a remote class in LBS, an MBA class from LBS. And I reminded the class that in 1996, I was interviewed by The Economist, the London-based magazine or newspaper, as they prefer to call themselves. And I said, if we could just manage to get all the big, powerful soldiers and politicians in Nigeria to agree, and we buy an island, give them for free, and give them access to 100% of Nigeria's oil revenues on the understanding that they don't come to Nigeria or do anything to Nigeria, that Nigeria will be better off. And the economists, in their tradition, always have to give an editorial on everything. The sign-off was fair comment. This is certainly not a joke, because many, many years after I said those things, two Columbia University economists, Arvind Subramanian and Salah Javier Imatan, wrote an IMF working paper that essentially suggested that, given the performance of the Nigerian economy, Nigerians would have been better off without a government. That is to say, if you just took Nigeria's oil revenues, let's assume that there were 100 million Nigerians and oil income was $100 million, and just wrote a check to each Nigerian of their share of that money, that the total welfare function in Nigeria will be far higher than the outcome of having a government.
Wow.
In that analysis, they basically started a trend in analysis of what you do with oil revenues. And actually, several countries And states that are oil producing in the world have done that for a long time, realizing the damage that oil can do to an economy. If you live in Alaska, for example, I don't know what month in the year, you'll get a check in the mail, which is the government of Alaska giving you your share of oil revenues. If you live in Canada, in Alberta, Calgary, the same thing would probably happen to you. Some other sensible countries, like Norway, would collect a significant part of this and save it into what has generally become known as sovereign wealth funds, such that investments that they make outside of the country even could continue to fund the country's budget for long after oil has dried up. But those who run Nigeria don't have that kind of mindset. And so what we have done is make the scramble for oil destroy the Nigerian economy. I give you some simple facts, some basic facts that will show you that that statement I made in 1996 was not such a foolish statement. Last year, Nigerians living abroad sent back as remittances more than Nigeria earned from crude oil. And this is just that the statistic is warped. It's not cut completely. They're looking at the money that came from, transfers from official and stuff like that. If you ask the Nigerians who are traveling tomorrow night, who I beg, help me give my brother $1,000 there, I beg. When you add all of that up, Nigerians abroad are probably sustaining the Nigerian economy. That's why it's difficult for Nigerian economists to explain why the place hasn't crashed completely. Now, these familial ties will not last forever. I can tell you a story of a gentleman in Victoria Island. I told the story to some friends yesterday. It's not funny. It's not a good story, actually. This man was complaining that the children in Canada were not getting in touch. So he was complaining so much to friends that one of his friends said, look, bring that phone. Let's just call that your son. And the poor son got so upset. He said he wanted to speak to his father again. He said, Daddy, I have only 3 visits to Nigeria left in my life. 1, to come and bury you when you die. 2, to come and bury mommy when she dies. 3, to come and sell off your assets.
Wow.
Those are the only 3 visits to Nigeria left in my life.
Wow.
True story. Happened in Victoria Island last year. I think that if politicians realize how much damage they've done to the country by this their scramble to get a share of this small amount of money that comes from oil, given Nigeria's potential, its other factor endowments, its human capital and all of that, we would think differently and act differently. Unfortunately, we've allowed oil to cripple us. And we are where we are. It's not a surprise whatsoever for me, because I've been saying this day was coming, shouting it like Jewish prophets in the desert in those days. But nobody bothered to pay enough attention. Well, we are where we're supposed to be now. So God bless and help us.
Can I ask? Because, obviously, you're stating the obvious, but we've had governments come and go, and we had a time in this country, most especially under the Jonathan administration, where we had the oil boom. And many of these governments paid lip service to divesting the economy. Nigeria is one of the most blessed places on the surface of the earth. We have several other minerals that have completely flown under the radar. Some of them, we don't know where the monies go, and everyone just pays attention to the oil in the Niger Delta. Let's even talk about why these governments have not necessarily tried to see how they can better the loss of the people outside of oil, because we're seeing a lot of oil theft. We're hearing that security officials have a hand in it, and even government officials. That's a potpourri of, a whole kettle of fish on its own. But why have our leaders, past and present, refused to pay attention to growing this industry or divesting the economy. I mean, look at countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Their mainstay is also oil. How come they're not suffering the problems that we're suffering? Are we cursed?
Yeah. Look, if you were a research student used to content analysis, one assignment I would give you now is to go and do a content analysis of Nigeria's budget speeches in the last 40 years. There's one line I can assure you appears nearly 30 times. To diversify the base of the Nigerian economy from the monocultural dependence on oil, blah, 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 blah. Every budget speech. And exactly the opposite happens during the course of that budget year. So why? Why? It's simple. We have a lazy political class that doesn't have a clear mission, doesn't know its purpose. They just want to get there and get what they can in the easiest way. It's just laziness. And the easiest thing to do is scramble to share a portion of that certain revenue coming from oil. When Nigeria really grew, oil was not the factor. Yes, it may have been discovered by then, but was not already a factor in Nigerian economic analysis. Between 1956 and 1960, manufacturing went from zero, literally zero, to 20% of GDP. Politicians made that happen. The subnationals led the process at the time. Eastern region, Western region, Northern region, and all these developments were taking place. And that is why Nigeria's projection, the projection of what Nigeria would be in 1960, was sort of one of the great powers of the world in 40, 50 years. Unfortunately, all of these have been reversed by what I like to call the dangerous alchemy of the convergence of soldiers and oil. By the end of the Nigerian Civil War, oil had become a significant factor in Nigeria. Soldiers were in power, and it was easy for them to leave Nigerians alone, and Nigerians leave them alone, and so they just splurged on the revenues from oil. They didn't ask whether you paid tax or did not pay tax. In the 60s, my goodness, ask the people who grew up in Lagos around Ishaga Road and that area, because Western region was just around Mushi. That's where the boundary. When they start chasing people for tax in Western region, they run like crazy until they run into that Mushi area and run into Lagos, and they've escaped the tax collectors. Now, as the famous Boston Tea Party tells us, no taxation without representation. The people pay tax and they demand to see what you've done with their money. But when soldiers left us alone, we left them alone with the oil revenues. Everybody went their way, and the stage was set for the destruction of the Nigerian economy. So the policies went dangerously in the wrong direction. Look, in 1960, manufacturing was growing so fast, and one of the major sources of growth of manufacturing is a sector called the textile industry. There's a Chinese-born woman who leads the McKinsey team on China in Africa. She wrote a book titled Africa, the World's Next Great Factory, looking at the potential of Chinese private investments in Africa in manufacturing. And I can tell you, because last night I was having dinner here in Washington with a group of Taiwanese businessmen who are looking at opportunities in Africa. And Irene Son's projections make a lot of sense for a variety of reasons, but it had already happened. One of the things she points out in this book, in 1960, one of those Chinese Hong Kong families started a factory in Kaduna in Nigeria. I believe it was UNTL. They pre-sold their first 6 months production to Manchester merchants, export-oriented manufacturing in 1960. The company broke even in 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah, UNTL. And fast forward, but bad management of trade policy because of oil destroyed all of that. That area in Kaduna today, Kakuri, is a wasteland. My friend, Bishop Kuka, when he was parish priest, I think he had a parish there. Just wasteland. So Nigeria's problems are all self-inflicted. But you see, the problem is that politics has developed so poorly that the politicians are masters of playing emotion and using it to create a gap between us and them, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's religion, whether it's this, that. And so the most important thing about democracy has been lost for Nigeria. The ultimate philosopher of modernity and democracy is a German called Jürgen Habermas. And Habermas essentially locates at the nexus of modernity and democracy, rational public conversation. It's impossible to have rational public conversation in Nigeria today. When you say good morning, they say, this man is from that part of Nigeria. Attack him, insult him. You say, okay, maybe we should eat dinner. Hey, no. The man wants to kill us. Dinner is now banned from Nigeria.
Professor,
so it's a tragedy what they have done to the country. And
let's talk about the most recent, which is today, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, the NASIMA, NECA, have all said that look, the policies that the federal government are putting out under this administration is crippling all their businesses. The businesses are going down, and in the past 1 year, we've seen 1+ year actually, we've seen so many businesses just pack up and leave us, and we've also seen a government that understands that we're facing a downturn in the economy, continuously spending taxpayers' monies that we don't have, to go out and say they're wooing these businesses, and really we don't know what to believe. Is there really any way out for us? I mean, you see what happened in East Africa, Kenya. We're seeing leaders apologize to people, return monies. We're seeing accountability somewhat overnight. Might we be headed in that direction? Or are we still going to be running around in circles based on what the narration you just gave about our dividedness?
Yeah, maybe we're still foolish enough to buy the nonsense the politicians are saying to us about you are Yoruba, you are Igbo, and you are this or that. If we continue to do that, good for us, because all of us will pay the price. All of us who are going down, they are coming with us down. Those politicians, we're all going down together. That's where Nigeria is going down.
Wow. Unless
we get sensible. No, you go to East Africa and all of that. I don't want to go far. Because most of my career I've been accused because, my specialty has been Southeast Asian economies. So he will still talk about Malaysia. I don't want to talk about Malaysia. I mean, here, now, Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, as a young 30-something-year-old head of state, was running a country where oil prices took a dip. He immediately reacted and said, we are going to a low-profile approach to governing. Head of states, official car, maximum, Peugeot 504. Everybody goes below that. We cut our coat according to our cloth, he used to say, not according to our size. And government began to trim its expenditure. But here we are today. Yes, we're on the brink of a famine, by the way. I don't know if you read my analysis.
Yes, I did. I did.
In the papers, we're on the brink of a famine. And it gave notice. I have been screaming about this for years. Nobody listened to me. Now we're on the brink of a famine. And people in the National Assembly are buying themselves 160 million naira Prados because they need it to I don't know what they say they do. Oversight.
To be able to go for the oversight functions.
Go around for oversight.
And maneuver through the bad roads.
Through the bad roads, which they have ensured are bad. If it were in those days, I would bring all of them out, give them 12 lashes of the cane in public. All of those guys.
Professor, we have to go on a quick break. For those of you who are just joining us, it's Balogun and Broad. Professor Utomi joining us as we talk about Nigeria's ailing economy versus our oil and gas sector that's dwindling. We'll be right back after these messages. The program is Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories. The credible and effective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.
Meals have a way of taking us on a journey. And when you add plenty of vegetables like efo, ugu, and season with the rich taste of North seasoning cubes, even better.
So, go ahead and elevate your meals with more vegetables and the rich taste of Knorr cubes. Today, eat for good.
My people, make a knock on this story. Make a yarn in these things where I don't do for me. Quality appliance, quality performance in abundance, energy not constant. This one no be one chance. 70% electricity saving for your AC. 50% electricity saving for your freezer. Refrigerator, washing machine, Tamukuno the shake out sure. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Let us dive into the heart of global affairs.
We go beyond the headlines and into the real stories shaping our world.
Why pay more than $200 million to have 1,000 Kenyan soldiers come to Haiti when we could use that money to train the police?
What you've done with your grief is actually to spread it and give it and turn it into the love.
This served Netanyahu because he didn't think Hamas would ever be a serious military threat.
Congo is a country with so much wealth. The people have been fighting to regain control.
From the corridors of power to the front lines of change, Borderline brings you in with analysis of the issues.
The U.S. has power over them. Most of them will steal money from Haiti and invest in the U.S.
Of people who support Sonko and Jumai 5, over half of them don't have a voter's card.
Sounds like Nigeria.
Join Ireti Bakari Yusuf on Borderlines as she engages with policymakers and thought leaders,
giving you perspectives and insights you won't find anywhere else.
Be part of the conversation. Join us live.
Your voice matters on Borderlines as we explore the complexities.
Every Friday at 4 p.m.
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Stay informed, stay engaged.
Step into the conversation.
Attention, Airtel customers. If your line has been blocked, then this is for you. Head to the nearest Airtel shop with your NIN. Our friendly staff will help you get your line back up and running. Don't let a blocked line keep you out of touch.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
In Nigeria, the weather can change in an instant, just like life itself. Even when you are caught in a heavy downpour or harmattan has left your skin dry, there's one thing that never changes: the restoring power of Vaseline Petroleum Jelly. Because we all know when harmattan strikes, if you are not protecting your skin, it cracks. So do your lips, and no one wants that. So use Vaseline Petroleum Jelly to keep your skin healthy, smooth, moisturized, and protected all day long, so you can embrace every season with confidence.
From the days where our feet shuffled to the beats of old school music. To the days where our feet did the zap. We have been there. We know the grooves of the times. We speak the language of every generation.
And like life, like the world of insurance, as a key player in general insurance since 1918, our vision and values are timeless. And today, as we officially transit to Rex Insurance, we emphasize our promise that whoever you are and whatever your business, we have been there and will always be there, no matter what life brings your way. Rex Insurance, you're not alone.
Tell me which kind thing Viva no fi wash away, 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 away. Gelato, tomato paste, the coffee stain your body. Viva go wash away, 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 away. Chicken for your clothes, now all you need for Viva to wash away, 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 away. Gentle for your pocket, gentle for your hand. Oh my Viva, it wouldn't make you shine. Oh Viva, Viva. Oh no no, I love my Viva, Viva. Oh no no, Uncle say bye bye to very tough stage, yo. Oh no no, Mama say bye bye to any kind stage, yo. Oh no no, oh Viva, Viva. Oh no no, I love my Viva, Viva. Oh no no.
Mommy, my teacher said 90% of my brain will develop by the time I am 5.
Really? What else did she say?
She said I need iron in my food for my brain to grow well.
Oh, very true. And that's why I give you Cerelac Junior every day, which provides half of your daily iron needs.
And Cerelac Junior tastes so good.
Cerelac Junior with Iron Plus. It's all good, Mom.
Get ready for Complex Nigeria 2024. The International Plastic Expo is back July 16th to 18th at the Landmark Center, Lagos. Meet over 75 global exhibitors. Start, expand, and diversify into the plastics industry. Don't miss out. Entry is free.
The Access Holdings rights issue is now open. For every 2 ordinary shares in your portfolio, take advantage of the chance to acquire 1 more at 19 naira 75 kobo each. Between July 8th to August 14th, 2024, we are inviting you to take up your rights in full in the Access Holdings rights issue. Visit www.theaccesscorporation.com to find important information about our rights issue, such as the rights circular, issuing houses, receiving banks, and legal advisors. Access Holdings, where financial solutions connect the world.
Everyone says I'm beautiful and bold. They say I'm fashionable. And to crown it up, very confident. And my secret is...
People say I'm good looking, funny, hardworking, and to crown it up, very confident. And my secret is...
So whether in the office or at home,
in the streets or on the dance floor,
anytime, any day, I never lose my confidence. And the secret to my confidence is Wazobia perfume.
Absolutely. Wazobia perfume gives the authenticity and long-lasting fragrance all day. That's my secret confidence.
Wazobia perfume is available in body spray.
Also available in supermarkets and markets near you.
You can also get it on Jumia.
Wazobia perfume, the correct scent.
The event, the tournament, the Nationals, is coming. August 12th in Lagos. Witness the brightest minds from across the country in a battle of intellect and eloquence.
Have you ever wondered if controlling resources will be the key to dismantling?
Yes, a child has not been properly academically satisfied.
Has such person not also get experience, like your 5th point?
Experience fierce competition.
Peace cannot be kept by force. It's not because there's natural resources there.
Persuasive arguments.
I believe that through a balanced approach to religion and education.
Don't you think that such a person is old enough to decide?
And innovative thinking.
By 1985, the poverty level was below 46%.
If they don't have money for tuition, are you saying they are not going to be accountable?
Whether you're a debater or a spectator, Mark your calendars for August 12, 2024. I Beg to Differ, the Nationals in Lagos, Nigeria. Get ready to be part of history. For sponsorship and other inquiries, call Lagos Larry Griffin 0706 827 1163, Shola Kolade 0907 173 3835, or send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ Students Debates Competition, the Tournament of Champions.
Get loans of up to 7 million naira on Rain Money. Call 0700 5000 500 or visit rainmoney.com to get started now.
Imagine thinking you bought an unlimited data plan, but the next thing we hear is,
oh, this data has finished again.
Well, that's what happens when you don't buy a truly unlimited data plan.
Enjoy truly unlimited data with unlimited speed-based data plans from Airtel. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to buy now. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
To cook correct food, they always give me joy. That's why anytime I cook like this, I dey always season them with no cubes. Come add correct vegetables inside. Ugu, tatasheo, shombo, onions. No one I know they put. Now him make my pikin them, they always enjoy my cooking.
Daddy, I never will. I want more.
You summer all your food with correct vegetables. Come season them with no cubes for that ubonge delicious taste. Today, chop better.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, we're back. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Maryann Okon, and we are live from our audiovisual studios here in Victoria Island, Lagos. And on today's Balogun Broad, we're talking about the ailing economy in the country and, of course, our dwindling oil and gas sector. And, of course, government policies, how we will or might be able to dig ourselves out of this rot. My guest is Professor Pat Utomi. He is a professor of political economy, for those of you who do not know. Many of you remember him from Patito's gang, but he's more than that. And we've been looking at, all of the problems of Nigeria and if we might be able to find a solution. And then we're going to talk solutions, obviously. But the phone lines are open, Lagos. You can be part of the conversation. We're live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. You could join us via Skype if you are listening from outside of the country and you want to join the conversation. Join us via Skype. We are Nigeria Info FM. If you're watching on our live stream, you can also post your comments and your questions. We'd like to hear from you on WhatsApp. We are 08095975805. That's 08095975805. Or you could join the conversation via phone lines. For the men, you can call 0201-277-0993. If you're a lady, call 0201-465-7190. The professor is here, but your current thoughts and comments is what we're looking to. Well, someone here says the current Tinubu administration is taking Nigerians deeper into the doldrums. All the people that surround the president are men and women who are more interested in their own comfort than working for Nigerians to lift them out of starvation. They dump us through their unthinkable policies. It's unfortunate that Nigeria should have been it's unfortunate that Nigeria has such people running their affairs. And he says this is a blessed country that has endowed citizens. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. If you have questions for the professor, your comments, go ahead. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Domshak. I'm calling from Aja.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought I greet the guest in the house.
Yeah.
Has he contested for presidency before?
Yes, he has.
He has, yes. And what's the major question?
Because I'm his fan. I know him.
Okay.
In the picture, not in real.
Okay.
Yeah, but about the Nigerian economy, I just pray that we'll get a good leader that can save us from this mess, because already the country is in a mess, and with the youth, we are not ready to do. We are nonchalant about everything. So we just hope one day it go better.
You're hoping. How do you hope that it will be better if you're nonchalant about it?
I'm not the one being nonchalant here. Just that there is nothing we can do now.
Really? Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling. I do appreciate it. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yes, good afternoon, Maryann.
Good afternoon. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Engineer Joseph from Ikeja.
Go ahead.
I also greet Prof. Prof, good afternoon. Good evening, sir.
Greetings. I salute you.
Thank you so much for everything you've done. I've really followed you all the way from the time you were presenting a show on the radio called Patrols at the Gang.
The show is still on. It has not stopped.
Yeah, I followed you all this way, and you are one of my mentors. And since then, I've never regretted it, because I know you have really shown us that you have all it takes, to chair this country and to make sure that everything becomes okay. Because I would want you to answer just one question, Prof. I know you have all it takes, and I know that whatever you say today, just like what's
your question? Because time is going. What's your question?
Yeah, my question is, what should we do? What should we do right now? Because the way things are right now, as you can see, everybody is feeling it, like the Davido's bank, and we'll
all
go
right.
the way out. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. Care to answer?
Yeah, sure. Everybody must do something. What is that thing? Each individual has their own space that they can influence. The first thing is we should all be honest to ourselves and recognize that there is nothing new about the problem with Nigeria. The solutions are all over the world to be applied. I mean, my last book, which the publishers extracted a statement from Dr. Christopher Kolade and put on the cover. The book is titled Power, Policy, Politics, and Performance. And what was extracted on top of the cover from Dr. Kolade reads, reading Professor Utomi's book, it is understandable that Nigeria has shown convincingly the needed knowledge and skill in her possession already exists and can easily be accessed. Anyway, bottom line is there's nothing that is there to be done that an honest mind will not go to. The truth is that we're not doing an honest examination of our consciences. I told people again and again, this is the nature of the problem we face. This is the honest kind of response. But you see what has happened, and it's not a Nigerian peculiarity, and to be fair about this, the world is going through a very dangerous cycle where demagogues have managed to capture emotion so much and divide people. The gap between us and them has become the chasms, so that people are not even seeing their own best interest because of these emotional things played up. It's happening in the United States of America. It's happening in Europe with all these right-wing and all those kinds of movements. So it's a problem. I was telling my class in LBS, there's a center at Harvard called the Center for Moral Cognition that's looking at this problem, this gap between us and them. And the director of that center wrote a book titled Moral Tribes. really, if all of the people of Nigeria agree that this is what will make Nigeria move forward, and it's very clear, it's very easy to, by having just rational public debates, conversations around these issues, and people who are there as entrepreneurs of power, to capture the state and use for their interests, move away for people who just want to achieve immortality from how they make people's life better, Nigeria will be gotten right. It's very simple. The solutions are all there. Again, there's a chap called Jonathan Tupperman who has written a collection of how the solutions were put together in different countries. And the book is titled The Fix. And he points to, hey, look at how in a world in decline, this kind of thing was done. They say, corruption. We all know corruption is killing Nigeria. But nothing we can do. Nigeria has now become a way of life in Nigeria. Excuse me? Go and see how Singapore cured corruption. It is curable. It has been cured elsewhere, and it can be cured here. We must have people-centered government that has as its primary goal the good of the people. How can a Nigerian presidency be talking about presidential jets when starvation is in the land? I mean, those are the kinds of things that just ache you. You can't understand it. British Prime Minister, how many planes does he have? British Prime Minister typically goes on British Airways to meetings. I have been on a flight with the President of South Africa. He was going on a state visit to some other African country. I was on that plane. He was not even in first class. He was in business class. And when we got there, the plane just taxied to the red carpet. He got out, and they carried the mekunus like us to the to where they were supposed to get out. But he came on South Africa Airways flights, regular flights, scheduled flights. And our own, we're buying new plane for vice president, new plane for president, new house for vice president, who lives in a huge mansion already. I mean, there's something wrong with the mind of a Nigerian politician. It's completely disconnected from the Nigerian people. Until we can solve that problem, we're not going anywhere.
Let's see if we can take a few more calls. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Oh, apologies. The number is for you to call, gentlemen, 0201-277-0993. That's 0201-277-0993. If you're a lady, 0201-465-7190. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, Action Lady, good evening.
Good evening. You have 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Prof, you are not a Mekunu. What do you call people like us? Well, I just want to say thank you. God bless you for speaking out the truth. Because I've been asking all this, where are people, where are Nigerians? Nobody want to talk. But I want to thank you, my brother. You are not a Mekunu, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chris, for calling. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm John from Shagam, Ogun State.
Turn off your radio, please.
Okay, let me move away from it. I want to thank your guests very much. People that say truth like this, in fact, they can't be in our government now, because the problem is that look at the whole Senate now. No, the whole chamber, different chamber of the House. None of them, if you are standing against the incumbent or the current government, you are the enemy. I just follow the news of what happened to Utomi because of what he says. Now, how do we expect a better Nigeria? How do we deliver ourselves when they are using army or all the necessary law enforcement agents against us? How do we get out of this mess? What is the hope of the common man?
All right.
If you are not in that position that you can fix yourself, fix your family, fix somebody next to you, how are you going to get out of this mess?
Okay.
The powers that be are against the common man. So I don't know. But
Thank you very much for calling. I'm going to let you go. I need to take a few more so that I can let the Prof respond. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello,
What's
good
your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Dampi from Igondo.
Go ahead.
Good evening to Prof. Pat. Well,
good evening.
What one of the callers asked, what are you going to do? Pat, don't waste your time. Don't advise anybody. Let APC solve their problem. They know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dumpy, for calling. He seems really angry. Hello. Apologies. Do call us back if that was you. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, Maryann. Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Mazi from Ibejuleke. Professor, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Welcome for enlightening us. We thank you for your good job. You have been enlightening Nigerians. But my problem is this. We all know this problem is politicians, and they have created a gap between us and them. And the gap is high. No food, no money, no education. How do we now return Nigeria to the owners? That's my question. How do we return Nigeria to a purposeful way? Other countries are growing. Chinese are becoming the world today. We saw how they grew. But in our country, the politician doesn't want us. Now we are talking of no food. A president went and bought private jets. He has a yacht. He has a building. Oh, this thing is madness. You can't eat it all your life. So what do we do as a citizen? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for calling. I'm going to read some messages, Prof, and then I'll let you respond because we have just about 3 minutes on the clock. Someone says, good evening. Truth be told, our political leaders are just the reflection of who the majority of us are. We will become quiet whenever we're benefiting from anything, and our voice will become the loudest whenever we're not benefiting. That's one major attribute of corruption. Stephen from Akute sent this one. And this one says, I know Professor Utomi is no longer a young man that can mobilize Nigerians in a peaceful process to call the bluff of this clueless government. Please ask the professor, what can Nigerians do to free this country and the citizens from this government? Prof?
Well, my friend Kayode Fayemi was on a program recently. It was the anniversary of Meko Bassi's passing. And in that lecture, he was asked a question pointedly by NEB, Nyola Bello. Said, look, you have preached all kinds of things, but, you know, you got to government, you didn't. And Kayode Fayemi admitted, like, look, politicians cannot save Nigerians. It is clear now the system that they have to play inside of to become whatever they become prevents them from being able. That the only way Nigeria can be saved, Nigerian citizens have to take over the business of saving of Nigeria. Kayode Fayemi, former governor, former minister, said this. Who am I to disagree? I do believe that, and thanks to the gentleman who said I'm not a young man anymore, which is true. For 50 years, I've been in barricades, I've been talking. Now I'm an old man. I'm tired. I'm not likely to be leading. I've survived 2 assassination attempts. I've been beaten on the streets of Lagos by security people. Even as a chief executive of a multinational company, I still thought that, by the way, that person who said when people are benefiting, they don't talk. As a major executive, I was marching on the streets of Lagos and I was beaten. Olisa Bakoba came out to lead the protest. The people he came out to lead first slapped him before they realized he was their leader.
Oh, my goodness.
I think young people, with all the technology available to them, have to raise their voices, organize it properly. Look, they are the majority. These characters in politics constitute a small minority. Nigeria is a young population. Most of the population is under 30. They should just organize themselves and take over their country. You leave these guys, they are chance artists. They will continue playing this game. That's all they've done most of their lives. So I am not necessarily the one to prescribe how to now. I'm a dinosaur academic now. All I do is speak English in around the world like I'm doing right now, several thousands of miles away. I mean, I'll come back into Africa in the next couple of days and whatever, for a few days. But my stage is now global.
Yeah.
I go from Washington to somewhere in Australia to, I don't know. I've done my bit.
Well, we're hoping, Professor, that the young people have heard you and Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, have heard you, and then, of course, we'll decide as a people to take back our country. But we want to say thank you to you, Professor, for being part of the conversation. For those of you who do not know, Professor Pat Utomi is a professor of political economy, and he's also a management expert, and he's also dabbled into politics, so he's a very well-rounded person, and he's 68 years old, so yes, he's done his bit. Thank you so much, Professor, for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Thank you once again.
Great pleasure.
Thank you. Well, Lagos, there you have it on Balogun Broad. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, I'll be saying my proper goodbyes. Stay with us.
Get breaking news, updates, and the best of talk.
Women have to work twice, even thrice as hard for them to get things that just come so naturally to a lot of men who feel that leadership is their right.
You were in prisons for how many years? For 6 years, 8 months. Were you going to court from prisons then? Yes, but before I started court, it took me 2 years. Just being in prison? Yes. Without your case even start at all? Confinement. You were there? Yeah.
Here on your number one station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.